Okay guys, so let me first start by saying, if you can tell, I'm wearing a mountain biking shirt. This shirt comes from Jrods MTB. We will link that down in the description so you can go check them out. Also, the links to our shirts will also be down below. We appreciate all the support to everybody that's been buying shirts and buying merchandise. Huge heartfelt thank you. This is not our regular weekly video at all. This is just an extra video this week. Coming up, there is a touring company for mountain bike tourists here in town, and so we've got something really special planned out for this weekend coming up. So you guys stay tuned for that. Yeah, let's jump into it. Here we go. Woo. So a lot of us do more than just workload stuff on our computers, and so if you've got a computer with an aftermarket GPU or an aftermarket computer, something that you've got control over the GPU or high-end GPU, and you play games and you want to render extremely quickly, today we're gonna go through something a little different than our typical biking stuff, and we are going to show you how to maybe increase a little bit of performance on your GPU on your PC. So let's get to it. Woo. Okay guys, as you can tell behind me, I've got my computer running. What we're gonna do is we're gonna look at how to get a little more performance out of your computer by maybe just changing a cord. We have this type of cord on our GPU where it loops. For those of you that use Davinci and when you render using your GPU, this is a way that you can get a little bit more performance, hopefully, by switching that out to two separate cables. So we're gonna try that today, see what it does. We'll get 3 different scores. As you can see right here, my average frames per second was 144.8. My score was 6058. I run an AMD Ryzen 5 3600 6 core. 6 cores running about 3600 megahertz, and RX Vega 64, but that's it. So we're gonna write that down. We're gonna go back over here, run that 2 more times, and kind of see what our average comes out to be. Our minimum was 45.3 and our maximum was 250.3 frames a second. And so with that single cable, if you can run 2 separate ones, you may get more voltage, at least cleaner voltage. Who knows? I don't know how this works, and I'm not really a computer guy. This is just an experiment. We'll check this 2 more times and see what we come up with. Okay, on the second one, we ended up with a 142, so a little bit lower, a 5980, 44.3 frames a second, 246.7. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 fans. Not that that's just a little bit, but you get my point. So we'll check it one more time and see what we end up with. Okay, on the last one at 142.5, 5961. Take a look and see what they're set at. The quality is at ultra. The resolution is at 1920 by 1080. To be honest with you, I know nothing about computers, so the 3D stereo is disabled. Monitors, obviously, I just have a single monitor, and DirectX 11 API. Big shout out to Jay's 2 Cents. He is a big computer tech channel that does this type of stuff, and I seen this on his channel, and I thought that it would really help out mountain bikers to be able to see this same type of stuff, to maybe, you know, get our job done a little faster, since we spend a lot of time rendering 4K video footage. So let's now we're going to take this guy apart. It should come with some extra PCI cables like this. Well, we're going to go ahead and unplug this guy and plug in this one. Okay guys, so you got these little screws. I've already taken out 2 of them. You don't have to do this except for I need to blow out my computer. I've got fly down here. It's pretty disgusting. Okay, so anyway, you don't have to blow out your computer, but I have fly in there, and that's a little disgusting. But here's the deal. On my particular case, on the back side here are a couple thumb screws, if you can see this. I got one right here, and then one down here that I've already taken off. All right, and then this guy should just pull back. Disconnect all this for right now so we can work on it and be able to see what we're doing. Anyway, really bad cable management. I did pull some of this out of here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to end up going back through here, cutting all this, remanaging the cables on there. What we're going to do is we're going to move this pad right here so we can get to the cables here, so that we can run our other cable back up front, because they're all the way PCIe cables are all the way in the back. So we'll be back in a second and I'll show you what that looks like. So anyone that knows me knows I'm obsessive compulsive. So that took a little bit longer than I wanted to, but I went in and redid all that cable management. So now the back end of this guy looks extremely nice. Okay, now on the front, I've got both separate cables coming in and running back down the power supply. What we'll do is we'll put the front and put the back on this guy, then we will power it up and we'll get in there and test that again. We'll see what this thing does for numbers, because I'm pretty sure it's gonna just smoke it. Don't laugh at me, I know I look like a nerd, but that's the only way I could see in there. So now we've got it back together. Here we go. Cross your fingers. Okay, so now that we've got that all installed, we're gonna go ahead and run the second Valley benchmarks, tally up the scores and kind of average them out, see if this thing did any improvement at all. Okay, on my next run, on the second half, our very first one increased quite a bit. We're at 150.3 frames a second with a score of 6287. That's a couple hundred points better. Minimum FPS about the same, max FPS a little better, but yeah, so we'll continue this and see where we're at. Okay, my second one did a little better. It did a 152 frames, average a 6361, and this one 152, 6361. Minimum's a little lower at 42, maximum's a little lower at 245, but it stayed better. Okay, so that one did the identical same number as the second one, a 152 with a 6361. My minimum went up 1.5 frames a second, and my maximum went down about 4 frames a second. So yeah, let's go ahead and get these scores tallied and we'll check it out. One plug frames a second was 143.4. With 2 plugs, the average was 157.3. And what's that? 14 frames a second. Score was 59.99 on the first 1 plug. That was the average, and the average was 63.36. That was the score. Minimum frames a second was kind of crazy. With 1 plug, only dropped down to 44.83. My 2 plug, my minimum average was 43.13. So I actually ended up with less minimum frames per second with more power. So I don't know how that works. And the same thing with the maximum. I've got, with 1 plug, I got a maximum of 247.16 frames per second. And with 2 plugs, I only got to 244, which tells me that if anything, it didn't have as many peaks and jumps. It was more, you know, steady across the board. So really kind of neat. If you guys export your 4K videos or you're doing a lot of editing and stuff, I don't know how much this is going to help, but if it gets 20-minute export, if it gets it done 3 minutes, 4 minutes, 5 minutes faster, you know, times your next 30 videos, I'd say just it's paid for itself. Especially if you've got a set of cables in your PSU already that you can just plug one in. Yeah, guys, appreciate it. Sorry the video was a little bit different than kind of what we normally do, but yeah, we'll catch you guys next time. All right, remember, stay on your bike. Whoa. So, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Hit the bell to be notified when we drop a new video. And always remember to stay on your bike. Well, maybe not this time.